Hi, my name is Ray and this is my channel. Recently I got into making Sims content creation online and I wanted to do some of the fun challenges that I see a lot of others doing. So today we are creating a character for the Nightmare Legacy Challenge created by Matcha Cakes, inspired by Little Simsie's Nightmare Legacy Challenge. I've been watching other Sims YouTubers for a really long time and I really wanted to record some of my own videos, mainly to save and preserve my experience playing as well as share with everyone else. You'll see here that I am randomizing through the story, choosing a character trait and that, because those are a part of the rules for Matcha Cakes Challenge. I'll go through the rest of the rules here shortly, but at the moment, I want to go over what we got. So we got Freelance Botanist, and in fact it started us a little bit further along in the actual gardener job tree. I'm not sure if that's allowed in the rules, but it doesn't say that it's against them, so I accepted that obviously. As well, we got the Genius trait, the Outdoorsy trait, and Kleptomania, which is not a trait that I normally play with, but it's certainly an interesting one. I've already recorded some of my actual gameplay so far, as well as picking a house and stuff like that. And the Kleptomania it's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but we had to randomize our traits, so I have to live with that, and that is okay. The only other rules for creating a founder is that they must be a young adult and they must be mortal. There must not be any supernaturals for your founder. I don't know if that means that we can't have supernaturals further on as an heir. I'm not really sure, and I might just do my own thing in regards to that because it's not specified. As per these rules, pets are allowed, but they are not recommended. I did give her a dog, which you will see later in this video, but I don't know if it was the best choice. We did have some difficulty in the beginning because of the way that we started and me not being so bright when it came to picking a house. I probably should have picked one with some pet stuff in it, but I didn't. I suspect the reason that pets are not recommended is because in short lifespan, their lives can be so incredibly short that it's a little upsetting, but I think that that is okay. I think that we are giving them a good life, regardless of how short it might be, and that good life is better than whatever else fictional that they were probably doing, because they are still just little characters in a video game, but I do become very, very attached to them. I have a very hard time not. So I will probably be devastated when the dog passes away. I will tell you for free that I am absolutely obsessed with my founder's dog, and I will be depressed when he passes away. Now, moving on to the rest of the rules. To get started, it says to move your single sim into a starter home that they can afford, either furnished or unfurnished. Once you've settled, cheat household funds down to 0. It then reminds us to put the lifespan down to short, and it also gives us an optional rule for turning off aging for unplayed Sims. I didn't do this because I do enjoy going through and refreshing the households and making sure that they're continued on, and especially with neighborhood stories and everybody having babies more and more, it's a little bit easier, but I didn't turn it off because I enjoy that story projection. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Story progression. Thank you. The next set of the rules are the goals, and they are to complete your aspiration before becoming an elder, Reach level 10 of your career, which is where I wonder if being already pretty advanced in our career was maybe a little bit of a cheat, but I wonder if that's why we did story mode, because it puts us a little farther along and because we are starting off as a young adult versus somebody who's further in their aspiration because they started it as a teenager, which our heirs will be. But I'm not entirely sure because it doesn't say anywhere here. The other goal is to max 2 skills and have at least 1 child. I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up having more than 1 child. I really like children, specifically toddlers in The Sims, which is maybe different than like most people, but I do really enjoy how squishy their little faces are and the way that they have their own little personalities and the things they do. They're just so cute. There is a more difficult version set of these rules, but I am choosing the regular one just because I want to be able to have more of a story rather than the challenge itself. I created my own challenge, legacy challenge, called the Spellbound Legacy Challenge, and it's specifically for spellcasters, which I'm really excited to share. It's up on my Twitter, and I have videos of character creation coming out soon as well for that, because I can't make my own challenge and not use it. And in my challenge I have 3 levels of difficulty. Easy if you're somebody who's new to challenges and you just want to try them out, or if you just want like a very basic story prompt to begin your legacy. As well, you can have it on long lifespan. Then there's a medium for a little bit more of a challenge on a medium lifespan. And then I do have a hard mode, which is what I'm going to be playing and what I have challenged my fiance, Peachysimsie, to play through, which is on the short lifespan and much more difficult. Also, to add to the difficulty, I have assigned lot traits that you have to put into your game, and medium and hard have to use a ley line. And I think that would be really, really funny. But I also think story challenges like this one here, the Nightmare Legacy, with like less rules are also going to be a lot of fun. I feel like there's a very fine line between the right number of rules and the wrong number of rules. And sure, more is generally better. I feel like when you get to the point that you are dictating every single move and every single job and every single heir, it's a little much. I've seen a couple where they were like, heir 2 has to have this trait, this trait, this trait, and this trait, and have this aspiration. Whereas with my challenge, I have randomized traits. You do have specific aspirations, but they're for more optional choices that you can have, and you can throw in your own and make your own decisions, which I think is really good. And I really like this Nightmare Legacy challenge specifically because there are a lot of options, but there's still enough to make it challenging and different, and every gameplay through for every single person is going to obviously be a little different. Alright, and now for the main body rules. As with most challenges, cheats, unless otherwise specified, are not allowed. I do talk about this a little bit in the first video of gameplay that I did, but I don't know if it will actually make it into the final cut. But I do have testing cheats on when I am playing at all times, because some of my Sims do tend to freeze and then not do anything, not react to anything, and not move, which can get really frustrating as a simmer, and I'm sure that you guys don't want to watch me struggle, so I just reset object. You may see me do that a few times, it may get cut out. Regardless, that should be the only cheat that I use other than move objects, which is, I feel like, a given and not really cheating. The second rule is that you cannot move another Sim into your household unless they are your spouse or fiance. I suspect this is because they don't want you to be inviting somebody to live in your house who might be rich or have more money than you so that you're stealing their money and maybe even killing them off afterwards, which we've definitely seen some simmers do if you've watched anybody else's challenges. Like Deligracy recently posted one where she does exactly that to see if she can make $1 million off of it. I highly recommend that video. It is so funny. Now, I hope this only applies to adult Sims, because I have been known to kidnap a toddler or two if they are abandoned or not taken care of. There is this weird glitch with my household stories right now where elders will adopt a toddler or a baby into their household. And I think this is with neighborhood stories, and perhaps I should just go in and find all the households that have just elders and turn off their adopted baby, maybe. I don't know what to do about this. But then the elders die. And sometimes CPS will take the child away. But if the household is filled with like 6 cats or 6 dogs, sometimes it seems like the Sims CPS seems to think that this is the equivalent of an adult to take care of the child, and so you will get a toddler household with a bunch of cats. And so sometimes I will adopt quote unquote those children into my household. So I really hope that you won't see that as a cheat. I don't think it really counts as a cheat. We will make sure not to take any of the household funds when we do it, if we do it. I'm not saying we're gonna do it, but if Neighborhood Stories gets a little funky again and we've got a toddler all on their own, I'm gonna take the toddler. I've got a bit of a bleeding heart, regardless of whether or not they are just Sims in a game. I love toddlers. I can't help it. Now, the next rule is that all future children must be given traits with the randomizer. No picking and choosing for yourself. That one's pretty self-explanatory and seems like the standard for a lot of legacy challenges. The next one is that the number of children each generation has is completely up to you. Keep in mind, certain aspirations will require you to have multiple kids. This is a good point, and I do appreciate that note. I will probably stick to 1 or 2, maybe 3 at the very most, depending on what happens. I'm not a big fan of big families on a shorter lifespan, although I've not played with them much. I'm weary. The rules also say that the next gen heir needs to be picked randomly, have them roll or pick names out of a hat, etc. We'll probably do this for the most part, but if I'm particularly attached to a child, I may just say that they're the heir. It is what it is. I feel like that's not incredibly game-breaking, to be honest with you. I think that there is some discretion to these rules to be played for each person. So it says your next gen starts as soon as you complete all goals and your heir is a young adult. That's pretty self-explanatory. Do this for 10 generations, but each generation heir must have a different aspiration and career. All traits can be used more than once as we have such a limited supply to begin with. I have been downloading some CC lately, as you can see in the video. In terms of CAS CC, I've downloaded like a lot of clothing items and stuff like that. I have sort of gotten into some of the trait CC. However, I haven't gotten all of it to work, mostly just the toddler traits, which I think is fine because we're going to have a toddler for longer before we need any other traits, and I think that by then I can probably figure out how to work the custom traits. In all honesty, the traits not working is probably an issue with the way that I downloaded them rather than an issue with them themselves. I wasn't really reading the instructions as closely as I should have been. It was a lot of text, and I am neurodivergent, which you would know if you've been on any of my other social media accounts or read my bio on here. I don't know if I've put it in there yet, but I probably will before this video goes out. And you can probably tell in the way that I talk in the stream of my thoughts and the way that I will freeze in the middle and have awkward pauses. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying really hard not to do those things and have weird cadence moments. I know that I can't cut out every single one and I can't avoid every single one because it's just who I am and the way that I talk. And so I hope that it won't bother you all too much that I am really awkward and that I have processing issues. Another thing that I'm sort of struggling with these recordings is that I'm a little soft-spoken, so if you're hearing this, which you should be if I've edited it correctly, the volume is turned way up on my sound clip tracks that are recorded because my voice is so quiet, because I whisper like this all the time into the mic, and I'm really up close, and I have a pop filter to stop this from happening, but we're really close and we're really friendly because yeah, I can't talk at a normal volume. I'm so soft-spoken. I'm sorry if there are some weird parts. Hopefully we are able to work through this. I may have to do some voiceover on my first gameplay video because halfway through I started to get really sleepy and my volume went down to here, and all you can hear is the music that I play in the background. And my first start for recording, I was playing some royalty-free music in the background to just play while I was recording. Bad choice, by the way, because you can't edit your voice if the music is recorded at the same time. I've learned my lesson. From now on, I'm going to put royalty-free music in while I'm editing. I may have to get some cheaper headphones to play some music in just my ears that the machine can't pick up while I'm playing, if that's the case, because I can't play in silence. It's not something I can do, and I don't like the music in-game. We'll see. We'll workshop it. Of course, this is my first video, so things are bound to be strange. Cadence is bound to be different. I'm gonna have pauses. I'm gonna say a lot. I'm trying really hard not to, because it is something that I'm aware of when I am presenting. I do presentations a lot. I was raised in business, so speaking in front of people isn't really the hardest thing I've ever done. And when I am in front of people, when I'm in public, I know how to project my voice. I've been acting, I've been doing presentations and stuff like that all of my life. I know how to do these things. I know how to use my lungs. Why I can't use them in front of a mic is beyond me. Anyways, coming back to the rules, because we are almost finished. We are on the last rule. We should probably finish this before we continue on. And so, you may use a potion of youth if you can afford it, but it can only be used once per generation, and only for adults or elders, no young adults. I, in my own gameplay, liberally use the potion of youth, or I just cheat them down in age via MC Command Center. That is because I have attachment issues, and I will admit to that. Being neurodiverse means that I have attachment issues. I know that not everybody who is neurodiverse does, but a lot of us have RSD, which is rejection sensitive dysphoria, which has to do with being alone and all the trauma that we have in our life, which I'm not gonna get into in this video, but just know I have 1,000 squishmallows. That's a bit of an exaggeration. I have 100 Squishmallows. That's still a ridiculous number, so I don't even know why I exaggerated. But I do. I have 100, most of which, I actually probably have more than 100 now, but most of which Peachysimsie has bought for me, but there are quite a few that I bought on my own. Mostly the more expensive ones, except for the 2 most expensive, I think she did buy for me. But that's because currently she has a job and I don't, because I am high risk, so I stay home while she works. And that is part of why both of us are starting recording. Actually, we graduate in the next couple of weeks. Technically this is the last week of classes, but obviously we still have classwork to do. Where both of us are neurodiverse, we struggle without having some sort of structure in our lives. And while we do run a small business where we make resin jewelry and that, we still need more structure. And so we've taken on recording some of our Sims content to fill the gap that is left behind by graduation, and also the gap that is left behind because they took the mask mandate down here. And because I am high risk, it's basically like March 2020 all over again. I can't leave the house. I can't even really go to the grocery store. We mostly get groceries delivered, or we pick them up curbside, or my mother, who we live with, goes crack acid on morning on Sunday. I don't know if I can say that. I'm probably going to bleep that out. I don't know. Can you say that word? You probably can. I'm not very good at being family friendly unless I am around small children. I don't know if you can tell. I am from the east coast of Canada, and a lot of us swear like drunken sailors. I'm gonna try not to, because I would maybe eventually like to monetize. I'm probably not gonna get to monetize. I'm not gonna lie. I can't not swear. And you know what? That's fine. This is more about sharing my Sims adventure with all of you than it is about actually doing anything worthwhile, I guess. I mean, spending time with other Simmers and sharing these experiences, that's definitely worthwhile to me, more so than any kind of financial gain that I'm sure some people start their channels for. I'm sure a lot of people look at it as something to do to make money quick or something like that. I followed YouTubers for the last decade. I've been on YouTube for a very, very long time. And I know that one thing that they often say about people trying to come into the space is that people do it with the intent to make it their job. And I don't want that, obviously. That's not the kind of community that I want to build up. If you are a newcomer to the Sims community as well, I do have a Twitter. I have a Twitter community. I used to run a Facebook group, and I still sort of do, but it's sort of died off, for Animal Crossing, which I've been doing for 2 years now as an admin. And so I've got a bit of experience there, and so I decided to translate that over when I got into the Sims Twitter community, and found that a lot of people were all saying that it was really hard to get into the Sims community on there. And Twitter recently introduced these features where you basically can make like a Facebook group, but on Twitter. So I did that. I made a group called Sims Community Newcomers, I believe. You can find it on my Twitter. I advertise it a lot. I encourage everybody who is a small creator or new to the community to come and join us in this sort of Twitter group thing. And I hope that we can build something together where we can participate and communicate and get along, because I think that as a community we should really focus on building each other up and creating this great space for us all to work together and maybe make some awesome content. I want to do some sort of similar to a shell challenge, except for where one person builds the house, decorates the whole outside of the house, and then gives it off to somebody else who then has to decorate the inside based off of all of that. I think that would be a lot of fun. I also want to do a community lot challenge with another simmer who I've been talking with lately and who I'm moots with, where we build a community lot and each of us do like one room inside of it. I think that would be a lot of fun. As I said earlier, I did make a legacy challenge, which is up on my Twitter right now, and I will have a video about that tomorrow whenever this is posted. And I'll talk a lot more about the rules on that video for sure. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to see other people do it as well. I also think I might make another legacy challenge later. I just finished watching yesterday the 12-hour stream that little Simsie did, where she left her entire household just unpaused all day long on stream to see what they would do. And the way that she had built this house sort of reminded me of like playing dolls as a kid with like a Barbie dream house. And I think that that could be a really fun challenge where you have to like build this Barbie dream house and then you have to fill it with all the things that you could need, but you're only allowed to play in it in that sort of two-dimensional viewing, and you could probably zoom in and stuff like that, but you can't change the camera angle, so everything you need is gonna have to be within sight, and then you have to play all of your Sims like that. You would probably have to put like the veterinary treat dispenser in the house so that you could cure any pets that you have of any illness, because you wouldn't be able to go to like a vet or something like that because they're not set up in the like Barbie dream house style. I would have to think through this a lot more, but I think it would just be really incredible to play like that. Maybe it's just the nostalgia from being like a small child and playing with dolls with my friends. We used to build like whole universes and write these big stories and tell all these crazy things with these dolls, and they would always be magical and fantastical, and there would be just these huge universes that we built around these little dolls. But I think playing The Sims that way could be really cool. And I know that I do get like a lot of storytelling aspects out of this. I'm a fantasy writer. That's one of my favorite things to do. Peachy Simsie and I actually write a fantasy series, an urban fantasy series together. I haven't updated it in over a year now because we do have almost 5 million words written, and so processing it is a little overwhelming, and also the fact that we're in a pandemic and things have been very stressful, and we've been trying to graduate for 2 years now, and things just haven't been going our way. And so I haven't updated it, but it does exist, and I hope to work on it more soon, very soon. But I'm really hoping that having this structure and having more creative outlets will really help me get through this. I know it's been a particularly hard couple of years for a lot of people, not just me, and I hope that maybe in some ways my sharing, and perhaps your sharing if you're another content creator or just a simmer in general, that maybe we'll be able to get through this together and continue on. The world has a little bit less compassion right now with mask mandates and regulations and all these safety precautions that we have to make. I know we are fighting like cats and dogs out there, and it's hard because I don't know how to tell people that they should care about other people, and that's the hardest one. And so I hope that maybe together, building this community, we'll be able to have a little more compassion in our lives and have a little more love for one another to share. So far, all of the people that I have met through The Sims Twitter, all the friends and the mutuals that I have made through that, just talking and through getting along and learning new things about one another, and especially just coming together over this one little thing that we all share in common, which is enjoying playing this game. It's been really special, and it's been the most social connection I've had in a really long time. When I first started out on the internet during the pandemic, I have been on the internet for a really long time, but I raised my voice a lot during this pandemic in order to raise the voice of others and also to stand up for myself. I ended up in a pretty dark place because I spent a lot of time arguing with other people who had no compassion for one another, or they had a lot of hatred in their heart that nothing I could say would ever help them get past that. But I still felt obligated almost to speak out, to tell them that what they were saying was wrong, and I wasn't championing my own mental health, I guess. And I still want to continue to raise the voices of others who are struggling, but I do need to take a step back from all of that and the activism that I've been deeply a part of all my life, and just relax for a little bit. It can be really hard thinking about the things that other people can't step away from. I can't step away from my transness. I can't step away from being queer. People who have a different skin color than my own cannot step away from being that skin color. No matter how hard we try, no matter how hard people hide it with social, with emotional, with all that sort of stuff, it's still there and deeply a part of our lives. And so I'm trying to learn to balance raising those voices and accepting what I can't change, but also build this community with love and respect and compassion for one another. I'm gonna end this video with the making of my sweet, sweet boy, Chester. He's absolutely gorgeous. I love him. When I was a child, I had a golden retriever, and I can't help but love this dog throughout the playthrough. I adore him so much, and I hope that my sharing with you makes your day just a little bit better. And I hope that you can share with me too. You have a great day, and hopefully your week will be a good one as well. And leave me a comment down below if you feel like it. No pressure. And if you want to come join our community on Twitter, please feel free. I love seeing everyone come together for this. And yeah, I know that things are hard, but I think together we can all get through this. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.